What's poppin', y'all? If there's somebody that's been having a terrible 2020 and 2021, especially the past 6 or so months, it's none other than Famous Dex. Not only was he recently just robbed and then caught with a gun in a separate incident after his driver was stopped, but he had recently gotten out of rehab and looked like he was healthy for all but 2 days before he was drinking in Puerto Rico with some people, and now he doesn't look very sober to me or most of the other people who are looking at him. But hey, what do we know? He could still be sober. And this is all taking into consideration the fact that Famous Dex's music fan base is declining rapidly with each day that passes. But things just got even worse because there was the gun charge, right? But an incident from the end of last year is coming back to haunt Famous Dex. Famous Dex's very bad month just got a whole lot worse. We've learned that he got hit with 19 charges, including domestic violence and gun possession, stemming from 3 separate incidents. 2 of the allegedly violent altercations involved the rapper's ex-girlfriends. Back in November, cops say they responded to a domestic disturbance call at his home and found a woman with cuts on her. As we reported at the time, this led to a SWAT standoff. Police suspected Dex barricaded himself inside with guns after allegedly harming his ex. For that incident, he's been charged with domestic violence, weapon possession, dissuading a victim from reporting a crime, and defacing property. It doesn't end there. Dex allegedly got physical with a different woman back in October, and he's being charged with corporal injury, domestic violence, threatening a domestic partner, exhibiting a firearm, inflicting bodily injury, dissuading a victim from reporting a crime, defacing property, and illegal possession of a firearm. Finally, there's a story we broke earlier this month when he was arrested for a loaded gun. Cops claimed they found under his seat during a traffic stop. Prosecutors now say he was prohibited from possessing a firearm due to a restraining order, so they charge him for that, plus possession of a firearm without a serial number. The city attorney's office tells us Dex is facing up to 18 years behind bars if you add up potential punishments for all the charges, although we're told some counts may merge as the case develops. On top of his legal troubles, Dex claims he was the victim of an armed robbery earlier this week in the San Fernando Valley. He told cops the robbers made off with thousands in cash and a $50,000 watch. I wish, and trust me, I would really like to sit here and say that this couldn't possibly get any worse for Famous Dex, but it has already gotten worse multiple times when I thought it couldn't get worse. More than I can count on one hand, just off the top of my head. If you guys remember back in November, I talked about this story of Famous Dex allegedly beating this girl and the SWAT team got called. He holed himself inside there with her and then he ran away and was able to get away from them on foot. And that same evening, he was on Instagram Live in a studio smoking and recording himself. And for me personally, that was pretty much the last straw I had for Famous Dex. He wanted to destroy everything he's got. Not to mention, that was the only incident we heard about. Now we got news of another girl that Famous Dex was threatening, beating her, threatening her while waving a gun apparently, destroying what is likely her property if he's facing charges for it, and trying to get her to not report this as a crime. First of all, Famous Dex has 2 daughters. I mean, what kind of example is this setting where you're constantly beating what seems like every girlfriend you have? And usually, I'm skeptical of rappers getting accused or famous people getting accused. But the circumstances under this, I personally believe he did all of this for several reasons. One is that there isn't much to gain from Famous Dex. I mean, he's not like a young boy or a Kodak Black who's making a ton of money. His career has been on the decline for at least 2 years now, if not 3. Not only that, but they didn't just hop on social media and write up their experience with him without ever filing a police report or calling the authorities. These girls have largely been silent on social media, and they handled it the proper way, so it's evident that they're not after some sort of clout. If they did go on social media, it would have been posted everywhere. Also, the possibility that this has happened multiple times, and they tried not calling the authorities, but it went too far, and they said enough is enough. And lastly, we have video evidence of Famous Dex beating the brakes off his girlfriend back in 2016. And this lost him so many opportunities. He got dropped from the Puma sponsorship he had. He got barred from being on the XXL freshman list for it that he was going to be on if it wasn't for this incident. And this video wasn't even some sort of nuanced take you could make out of it, like, oh, the girl slapped the hell out of him, she beat him first, like some Jay-Z elevator situation. Nah, it wasn't anything like that. I would play the video, but I can't. You can't really show violence on YouTube. But this girl was walking away, right? She didn't provoke him physically or nothing. He was very far away from her. He's not even in the frame of the camera. He runs down the hall and around the corner and just starts wailing on her with the whoa, oh man, goddamn combination. He throws her on the floor, suplexes her, everything, before someone else comes in to mediate the situation. I believe looked like a bodyguard or just a friend, but the guy was really big. Sure, we don't know what happened before she came into camera view, but it doesn't really matter when you contextualize that with these new domestic violence charges that Famous Dex is facing right now. He nearly lost everything because of this video, and that wasn't enough to teach him his lesson to keep his hands to himself. And if he uses the excuse that he's seen these chicks that are the type to provoke men until they hit them, then he should stay away from those types. But I'm personally not hearing that excuse in Famous Dex's case at all. It's evident that he's not learned his lesson yet. It's unfortunate for him because he was just teasing new music with Trippie Redd again, which usually performs well. He said he was going to start releasing music videos again consistently, which I think would have revived his fan base at least a bit. I asked myself the question of why Trippie Redd still works with Famous Dex when Trippie Redd is way hotter and Famous Dex has been falling off. But Famous Dex connected with Trippie Redd super early in Trippie's career, when Famous Dex was really hot off Japan and did music with him. They had this song, Blade of Woe, together back in early 2017, so it seems like Trippie Redd appreciates that and continues to work with him, which is something I can respect if that's true. But there's not an ounce of me that feels remotely bad for Famous Dex. Sure, his situation is a sad one, but he's had control of his fate for nearly every situation that's faced him. They say he's facing 18 years, but that's likely a gross overestimate of what he's actually going to end up doing if convicted, and they even said these charges are likely to be brought together. The issue for Famous Dex is, even if he gets, let's say, 1 year locked up, Famous Dex can't afford to be locked up for a year with the current state of his career. You're just throwing more dirt on the coffin. He needs to be as active as humanly possible. But you know how it goes. You reap what you sow. And now Dex needs to spend all this money on lawyer fees when he's not getting booked for any shows the past year, has had 0 hit songs in the past year, or songs that are remotely popular. He's in the gutter right now. And let's see how much support he's going to get from those friends he had that would encourage all of his bad decisions and record him to post on the internet. But let me know what y'all think in the comments. Does Famous Dex deserve to get locked up? Like and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you for watching. Peace.